Hello, beautiful souls. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you're watching this. This is specifically for Saturn and Aries. Now, Saturn's going to ingress into Aries on the 25th of May, which is this Sunday. And he will be here until the 13th of April, 2028. Now, Saturn and Aries can definitely make us more self-reliant. All right, we can find more importance and more, let's say, satisfaction in hard work when it comes to what we want to do as an individual, as a whole, as a person. Now, the negative side of that is that our ego can be butthurt. We can have I don't want to say a higher tendency to be more depressed, but a higher tendency to want to blame ourselves. Let's say it that way instead. We can feel more easily accountable for things that we shouldn't. All right, so there's that negative side of Saturn and Aries. I do kind of want to just let the cards talk and see what they have to say. And remember that this is also leading up to that exact conjunction with Saturn and Neptune, which I already talked about in that Neptune video, on February 20th, 2026. Okay? So, let's see. What do we need to know about Saturn and Aries? And there's a lot more that I can say on it, but I don't want to keep you here for an entire hour. So, let's see. Beautiful. I wanted 2 cards. So we have East beginnings. Beautiful energy for just Aries in general. And like I said, with Saturn and Aries, we feel more prepared. We feel more like we have a greater sense of structure and even a kind of like a responsibility to ourselves to do what we want, to start what we want to start. It is a beautiful time for new beginnings if we put in the work and the effort and the realistic practicality of it as well, right? That's what Saturn comes and teaches us is Saturn and Aries is going to teach us how to better put our head first into things, right? How to be more determined, again, in a very practical way, knowing the rules, knowing the boundaries and the lines that we should or shouldn't cross, because Aries archetype likes to cross those lines just because. It's not like Aquarius as the archetype, where Aquarius might have a genuine reason or to do it to non-conform. Aries kind of can do that just because, like there's no actual reason. But the other side of Saturn and Aries, that warrior within us, right, that does have a reason, that warrior archetype within us that has duty and honor and is striving for some kind of mission, can look to this new beginning. So I absolutely love that this card came out. Actually, I'm just going to do this and put these over here. All right. What else came out? Animals and companionship. That is interesting. I was not expecting this card. Okay. Well, companionship. Actually, let's focus on that word first. And the archetype of Aries does have a strong connection towards animals, similar to Cancer and Pisces and even Taurus. So I love that this companionship energy can come in, because with Saturn in Aries, it's the companionship of the self firstly, right? And I know that sounds weird, because how can you be your own companion? Well, we say it all the time, right? Learning how to be your own best friend, your own supporter, your own cheerleader, your own lover, your own friend, your own whatever you need for yourself. Learning to do that. That's very Saturn and Aries, learning to be that companion. But also looking towards relationship with others, because that Aries Libra axis teaches us relationships. So things with relationships, I'm not surprised, can come up, especially because like the next for Saturn's journey through Aries, which, by the way, I believe the last time Saturn was in Aries was 1996 or 7. So think about what you were doing at that time. For me, as an Aries, that's when I moved to the United States as a kid. So yeah, big things can happen with this, depending on where you have, obviously, depending also on what's going on with your birth chart, and how this transit's going to affect your birth chart. But in general, as you know, mundane astrology, look at where your life was if you were around during 1996 or 97. I should have gotten the exact date for you, and I'm sorry, but that was the last time the Saturn was in Aries. So yeah, I lost my train of thought because it's been a long work day, but I wanted to do this. I was very excited to sit down and do this. The companionship with the self. I guess we can just move on from that. But I do love that animals is coming up. You know what? Yeah, my guides. Thank you for bringing me back. I appreciate my team of light, because without them, I would definitely just continue to have squirrel brain. Animals, the animalistic side, the animalistic nature, the guttural, survival, raw, basic, root chakra type energy can come in with Saturn in Aries. So this animalistic nature can be used for good or bad, right? Can be used for positive or negative. So how do you use that survival mechanism, right? How to use survival instincts, or instincts in general. And I know that sounds weird, but Saturn in Aries can teach us instinct, how to act on what we know or what we feel to be good, what we, again, as a person, as a human being, as a soul, as an ego. Also, animals are so simple, and they're the greatest teachers, companions, right? Companion animals are the greatest teachers of unconditional love. There's really nothing like it, really. And unconditional love can come in with Saturn and Aries, again, especially for love of self and trusting the self and feeling proud of yourself. Those can all come in with Saturn and Aries. I'm trying to see how I can put this, because as usual, I got to change the camera around 100 times. Let's see what else. What else for Saturn and Aries? I've already shuffled these decks pretty good, so. One more. Oh, you want? Okay, we gotta take both. Got it. How did I know that one was gonna come up? I swear I felt like that one was. Anyway, mantra medicine. Command, song, incantation, and containment. So, well, mantras are pretty powerful things, right? Using the power of word, the power of your voice. Aries teaches to use that voice and to not be afraid to use that voice, and to lead with that voice. So again, and Saturn loves to be the teacher. So we might get lessons on how to use our own voice and how to use positive words of encouragement towards the self. I think the containment is more like learning. Well, I mean, Saturn and Aries can teach us how to deal with more, again, lower chakra or more difficult emotions, like that would come with the Aries archetype, like frustration and anger and hatred. I know that sounds bad, but that comes with the Aries archetype. So how to contain those parts of ourselves. But I'm really getting that strong pull towards the word of command, how to take charge, right? That's Saturn and Aries. Saturn is going to give us the wisdom and the hard lessons that we need to learn about how to command our space, because Aries will command the space. Aries gives this aura off on how to do that. So again, very happy to see cards that's why I didn't just ramble on about the astrology, because I know that the cards are gonna say the same thing. Belladonna visions, caution, guidance, clarity, and stand firm. Again, with that firm, grounded, commanding I don't want to say aggressive, but I do, because there's a positive nature to aggressiveness, right? It's more like assertiveness. Like positive aggressiveness can be assertive. So learning how to be more assertive through Saturn and Aries and having that ultimate clarity can lead us to whatever vision we're trying to create. Caution and guidance. There's that part. Again, there is a shadow side, of course, like there is with every planet and every sign, everything in astrology, everything in the world, everything in life. There's a shadow side. And the shadow side to this is to be overly cautious and making sure that we're not overly cautious, overly suspicious, overly hesitant, and overly stubborn. Yeah. All right. What about the tarot? What does the tarot have to say with Saturn and Aries? Saturn and Aries. Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. You know what? We're going to switch sides here because I want... this is why I usually do it from the top down. That way you guys can more clearly see, first of all, this gorgeous deck, which I'm in love with. So the Ace of Pentacles, there's that new beginning. There, we started with that. That was the first card. The Ace of Pentacles is that portal, that doorway opening up, the timeline shift, which, like I said, that's why I brought up an example. Like for me, I moved to my whole family moved to an entirely different country. Like big stuff can happen with Saturn and Aries. Things that have a long-term effect, right? What's the bottom of the deck here, actually, before I put it away? Oh, yeah, look at, maybe I won't put it away. The Tower. Because Saturn is about that structure, about that routine, about doing the same old, same old. It's the notion that if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. But Saturn can also come in just like Uranus, because this is Kronos and the father sky, right? So Saturn can come in and destroy things purely out of karma or purely because of the need to really hammer in some kind of teachable moment. Saturn, for the longest time, was the energy of the devil. So if you think about it that way, it's those restrictions and those limitations. So I feel like the Tower, while it might seem at first glance or on the surface like this really negative experience, what it's really doing is freeing us from any limitations. It's destroying any bondage that we have to certain things that we know are not right for our foundation, because Saturn comes in, especially in Aries, where it's the beginning, the alpha, right? The start. Saturn can come in and build a new, fresh foundation. And that's what I'm talking about with this Ace of Pentacles, with this portal opening up, this timeline shift. It's the luckiest card in the tarot. It's like the best card you could possibly get is the Ace of Pentacles, because it's real, it's tangible, it's something you could smell, hear, taste, touch, and see. You know, you can see the hard work paying off and this fresh new beginning. So get excited about Saturn and Aries. I know I'm excited about Saturn and Aries, although sometimes having a transit like Saturn over the Sun can bring some really difficult things. So I am prepared mentally, because you know, I'm not going to ignore that as an astrologer, but I am an evolutionary astrologer. So think about it as the evolution of your soul. You have this planted seed of this wonderful, beautiful new beginning that can grow and mature, and again can last a long time. You know, you can invest in it for the long haul, and you can see the rewards and the abundance for the long haul. Now, the next card that came up was that Six of Cups, which Saturn is father time too, right? So Saturn can bring up memories and the past and the old, just like Saturn. That's why it's kind of like beautiful with Saturn and Aries, because Saturn can be Father Time and the Old, and then you have Aries, which is the child and birth and new. So, yeah, we have that. Now, stuff about childhood can come up. Things regarding children can come up. Things, especially if it's like a childhood thing, it could be like a childhood desire, a childhood hobby, or a childhood friend coming around. Anyway, anything having to do with that can definitely come up with Saturn and Aries, just like Saturn and Gemini. But I feel like the Six of Cups is more about making sure that we take into consideration how far we've come, where we come from, like remembering where we come from, right? And then looking at our past and finding the comfort there, because Six of Cups is all about comfort. And Saturn in Aries finds comfort in exciting things, and going back to the animals, definitely. But Saturn in Aries finds comfort in your own skin, in you being you. Next one is Ace of Cups. So honestly, those two together, sure, can be new love for sure. Again, it's brand new starts with this energy. So those three, it's real love. If you're looking for real love, it might probably happen during this period, if you're single. But again, also depends on what's going on in your chart. But then there's, the obvious, me stating the obvious. It also depends on what you're trying to manifest and what you want, because you do have the power to change things, and you have the power to accept things, and you have the power to go with the flow. So, But anyway, Ace of Cups is self-love. It's self-worth. It's filling our own cup. And Saturn is going to teach us that in Aries. It's going to teach us, hey, remember when you took care of yourself? Remember when you loved yourself? Remember when you didn't feel ashamed, when you didn't feel hurt, when you didn't feel guilty, right? When you didn't feel responsible for this person or this thing or that thing. Remember when you were more carefree, which Aries can teach us? That's the Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups is just genuine, carefree love of self and love of life. The love of life, because Aries can have us look at that child archetype, especially the nature child archetype, which, again, going back to those cards there. Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment for sure. So we're getting that message that we could get some kind of wish fulfillment with Saturn and Aries. Again, deep, deep, deep desires, though, but also satisfaction, because Saturn teaches us what doesn't work and what does work. So we get some kind of satisfaction out of that. It's like, when you replant all the pots of flowers and you look at it with your dirty hands and your sweaty t-shirt, and you're like, oh man, I'm glad it's over. And look at these beautiful flowers that I just planted. So yeah, it's satisfaction and hard work and wish fulfillment because of that. Fifth card out was the World. Our relationship with the world, I think, is part of this message, because Saturn and Aries, it's the viewfinder, right? Aries in our chart, it's how we look at life from the beginning. That's why it represents the ascendant, right? So I'm getting like the sense of like how what your role is. And I'm not saying like putting a role, well, I mean, Saturn can teach roles, right? Because roles comes with responsibilities. So something like the role of being a mother, the role of being the boss at work, or the role of being independent, or the role of being a Mrs. or a Mr. The role of being, well, I mean, there's so many different roles that we play throughout life, but roles. And how are those roles playing into your life? Getting notification on the computer. But are those roles still authentic? Because the World is the most authentic card in the tarot. It teaches us authenticity. And Aries, just like Aquarius, is very, very authentic. Those two signs cannot fake it. They just can't. They try and they can't. Yeah. I think maybe that can come in with that too, right? Those new beginnings maybe can come in with a new role that you acquire, okay? A new position of power maybe, because it is Saturn, so it could be a position of power. But I feel like it's more about being comfortable where we are in the world. We can see that. And there's definitely going to be some changes in the world. But when isn't there, right? I mean, I could say that, but really, every moment is new. Every moment is a change. Okay, Page of Swords. Speaking of change, I mean, that's the winds of change. I love that in this deck it's portrayed by, it's very Sagittarian, isn't it? And I've always felt that. I've always felt this Gemini Sagittarius axis with the Page of Swords. It is information incoming, so maybe we could learn something new, and that's why we have all these new beginnings all over the table. We have 3 cards indicating new beginnings. But, well, technically 4. So it could be new form of study, new information, taking a class, going back to college. I mean, it is like a 2.5 years to 3 years every time Saturn changes signs. So, yeah, could be that. But it is the winds of change, right? It's the winds of change to clear the air. And we already had that card with the Belladonna Visions. We had that clarity coming in, getting guidance, getting more guidance. And more clarity. So it is a period of clarity. It's interesting. I just realized it's the number 28, and then Saturn officially ends his journey in Aries on April 13th, 2028. So that's funny. Wow, I didn't. That just clicked. So yeah. So the winds of change to clear the air. So we're gonna feel. It's kind of like, you know, after a storm, what it smells like outside. It smells really good. That feeling. That's the Page of Swords. Like the storm, right, of the tower is over. Oh my God. And look what's underneath the tower is the Ace of Swords. Exactly. The Ace of Swords, which the Page of Swords carries. And that only can happen once we get through that tower. All right? Okay. I'm going to leave it there. I hope this helped. Thank you for tuning in. I love you all. Have a great week, day, month, whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you in the next one.